Welcome back, everybody. Friday, October 20th. John Aravosis here from Washington, D.C., bringing you the Aravosis Report, where we talk about the latest news from Ukraine, the war in Ukraine, and the war in Israel of late. Let me get rolling on TikTok, on my iPad. You guys are on my computer, just FYI. All right, iPad, go live. Whew. And I had a nap today, which was probably not a good idea, because now I'm like, even though it was 2 hours ago, I'm in like, one of those stupors you get when you just, the nap never ends. Like bad news. So hopefully I can keep things straight today. The mind is firing a little more slowly, but we'll see. All right, there we go. TikTok's coming in. Anyway, hello all. Introduce yourselves as always. Hey, Rowan. And we will wait for folks to arrive a minute and then jump right in. There we go. I had a little iced tea to help me off, so hopefully that will pick me up a little. Anyway, good morning, folks. See if the volume adjusts automatically first. All right, on YouTube. On YouTube, I mean. Give it a minute and see if it adjusts, Manda. Thank you, Shane. And then let's see how it goes. I changed a setting, and we'll see if it adjusts itself or not, or whether I've got to turn it back on. Is it still slow for you guys, or still low for you guys? Sorry, TikTok. We're having some fun on YouTube. All right, I'll put the setting back on. Hold on. All right. Which one would it's not? See, none of these should have made a difference. Hold on. I'm putting this back on, but is this putting it louder or not? No, you know what? Hold on a second. Let me turn this. 1 second. And just turn this up. All right, try this for YouTube. How's this? Can you guys hear now or not? Sorry, TikTok, we're playing with YouTube sound right now. Can you hear now or not on YouTube? Or is it still bad? Better as in fine or better? Now it's fine? Okay. All right. I just adjust the volume a little, so that's it. Yeah, there were some settings that were not necessary. Hey, YouTube, TikTokers, sorry, I'm having some fun. I broadcast on YouTube at the same time, and we were having some issues on YouTube with the volume. So, but I like to sort of, well, lagging is on your end. Lagging is not going to be on my end. Well, let me refresh the page. Hold on. See if that makes a difference. Come back on. All right. Let's see now. Yeah, Scarlett. No echo cancellation. No reduced background noise. All right. Thank you. Who was that? Oh, Kim and Life. Thank you, Life. Let me look here. All right, how about now, guys? Oh, Jesus Christ. This is going to drive me nuts. All right, it's just being evil with my sound on YouTube tonight, and I don't know why. The settings I changed should have changed absolutely nothing. This is very annoying. Hold on, I'm going to go back and back again. It's supposed to automatically adjust, but of course it's not adjusting. Hey, thank you, Blizzard Guy and Ellie. This is annoying me on YouTube, why it's doing this. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I've got to just play with YouTube 1 second. The sound is being evil. All right. General, FaceTime. Thank you. Who is that? Shanlin? Thank you, Shanlin. Hold on. I'm still kind of, all right. Audio. Yep. Okay, let me go. Mic again, all right? I'm off my mic. And now, again. All right. You know what? I'm going to turn this off too. Hold on. All right, let's try this. Sorry, TikTok, we're still trying to get YouTube to work. All right, I just turned the sound off now. I turned off the automatic change of the sound. So I'm doing it myself. How is it now? I know it's always, sorry, TikTok, we've got to wait for 1 minute on YouTube. All right, let me know. How is it now? I need to know good, like still not good enough or what, because I can go a little louder. I need to know now how it is, not how it was. It's low. All right. I can go a little higher, but I'm a little worried. I may just turn the mic. You know what? I'm turning the mic off today because the mic's being evil. All right. We're going to use the computer mic. All right. There we go. All right. I'm using my computer mic on YouTube. Well, I mean, all right. Now it should be, well, now it's going to be better. You're going to get a little bit of a reverb. Yeah, TikTok, I know it's sounding fine because TikTok, I've got you guys with a nice little microphone here. But yeah, for YouTube and everybody, it's unfortunately being evil with the mic today. But yeah, Unfortunately, I mean, it's my very good mic that I use all the time, but for some reason, it's just, yeah. Being evil. Anyway, hey Dawn, thanks guys. Anyway, what do you do? But the lighting's good, and I've got my nice little sunset. Perfect timing. You get to watch my sunset here. Lovely. Anyway, all right guys, well that's fine. It's funny, I'm so used to the microphone that it's almost weird not having the microphone. Because I'm used to like kind of holding it when I talk. It's very weird. I am going to be giving you lots of updates. A splitter cable isn't really the issue. Trust me. I've tried to. This has been so freaking complicated, it's not even funny. Thank you, Mark Starr. I have a splitter cable. This is my $500 microphone. It used to work fine on TikTok and YouTube. Then TikTok, it just stopped working. So now it's YouTube. And now YouTube today's being evil, so who knows. All right, thank you for the gifts there, Mark Starr. All right, guys, so I'm going to get rolling then. Welcome all. Oop, get my microphone out of my face. Actually, it's that beautiful moment when like everything's that kind of golden, you know, like the apartment just turned like that yellow gold kind of thing. That's so nice. Anyway, it's very nice. It's that perfect little sunset time. Thank you, you never. So the way the show works, if anybody who doesn't know, is it's golden hour, but it's like the golden minute, where that last little bit here. Exactly, that's exactly what it is, the SM7. Yep. Maybe B, I forget, but it's the Shure, correct. I'm sitting to the side so you guys can see the sunset. So the way the show works is I will go through the latest news, stuff that I think is important for today, and then second half of the show, take your guys' questions. In order to, watch it, Evo, in order to sort of do this effectively, like I said, I'll take your guys' questions the second half of the show, but if anybody has a super chat question on YouTube, I will always answer those right away. Thank you, Shanlin and LWD, because you guys are supporting my work, so in return, I will answer your questions right away. Otherwise, also please do keep the gifts coming on TikTok. I always tell folks that the way I do the show is I've been doing it full-time since the war broke out. Thank you, Lori. Actually, let me stop a second. I've been doing this full-time since the Ukraine war broke out. I now have been covering the war in Israel and Gaza as well. But I've basically, this is my income, is doing this. This is how I pay the bills. And because of your guys' support, I am able to do this because you help me pay the bills. So please do keep the gifts coming. The gifts surprisingly do add up, which is nice. All right, anyway, let's get rolling here. So tomorrow morning, we've got our coffee talk, depending what service you're on. Thank you, Minda and Allie, for the gifts. Every Saturday, I do a show, almost every Saturday, I do a show at 11 a.m. Eastern Time US just for the paid monthly members. Actually, the lighting is looking really good on YouTube, too. It's like the perfect little moment with the lights everywhere. I want to like freeze this moment in time on YouTube. Nice for you guys too, but on YouTube it's looking good right now. Thank you, Super Hornet, and You Never Know, and Marcy, and Marino. All the gifts are pouring in. Marino again. Thank you guys. Very nice. You Never Know. Thank you, Marino. And Annie for the super sticker. What was I going to tell you? Oh yeah, so tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time US. If you are a paid monthly subscriber on TikTok, join us on TikTok at 11 a.m. For you guys on YouTube and Discord and Twitch and Ko-fi, anybody who subscribes to those services monthly, join us on Discord. And I need to set that up as soon as the show is done. I will try to set it up, the event, but it'll be tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Thank you, lizard person. It'll be 11 a.m. Eastern on Discord for everybody else and on TikTok with you guys. I know you're here just for this. It is. I love having the sunset, but I tell you, on YouTube, it's like this. Although I will say, this is how my apartment looks at night, which I love it. The lighting in my apartment makes me very happy. I had installed like the blue lighting. You guys can see. I installed the blue lighting up above a while ago. It's the, what do you call it? The Philips light strips. But it makes me so happy because it just gives this whole like glow to the apartment. I'm terrible at decorating, but apparently I'm good at lights, so who knew? All right, thank you, Tom, for the money gun and Chazak. So let's get rolling here. We'll start with Israel. I've got a good amount of information again. Oh, thank you, K9 Nanny. K9 Nanny just got a crazily generous gift. That's the witch. Thank you. Okay, that's the witch. You know what's funny? The mods were talking about the witch gift, and I said, I don't know the witch gift. Thank you, Darian. That's the one. I think Ashley said it freaks her out because it cackles. I don't hear it because I've got the microphone plugged in, so I can't actually hear the gifts noises. But Ashley or Amanda said it freaks them out. I forget which. Just so you know, it was but it's so funny. You guys mentioned it last night. And somebody just did it, which was very sweet. Thank you. So I'm going to start with Israel, guys, and then we'll go over to Ukraine. Okay? There's ample news with both. So 2 U.S. hostages were just released by Hamas. They are Americans. They are not dual nationals, so they are not American Israelis. They are Americans, which is interesting. Israeli officials identified the kidnapped women as being from Illinois, from Evanston, Illinois, north of Chicago. Thank you, Jonathan. As Judith Ranan and her 17-year-old daughter, Natalie. Bloomberg says the U.S. has reportedly asked Israel to hold off on the invasion of Gaza while we try to negotiate the release of more hostages. Qatar apparently helped. Jake Tapper was just interviewing one of their foreign correspondents on CNN, and I thought he asked a wonderful question. Thank you, Big John, because I'm trying to figure out what Hamas is up to with this. Thank you, James, for the super sticker. It doesn't quite make sense. And their foreign correspondent, who was it, Alex Marquardt, I think is the one it was saying, well, Hamas released these guys because they've got 200 hostages. It's actually very difficult to take care of hostages. You've got to feed them. You've got to blah, 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 right? And this woman was sick, the mother, the older woman, the mother was sick, and it makes it even more difficult for them to take care of her. And Jake had a great response. He said, this is Hamas. They just murdered 1,400 Israeli citizens, or mostly citizens, some military, but mostly citizens. Why didn't they just shoot her? Like, that doesn't make sense, right? Oh, she's ill and it's very difficult to take care of her with all her medicine. We're Hamas. Let's do a humanitarian gesture and return her to her family, even though we just got done shooting all the other civilians, right? And they didn't have a great answer, but basically it is clear that Hamas has a reason for this. It's clear, in other words, this is strategic. This is not humanitarian, obviously. Hamas doesn't release prisoners, hostages out of humanitarian reasons, or they wouldn't hold babies as hostages, right? So that's clear. The question is why? What intrigues me is this Bloomberg story. If it is true that the U.S. has asked Israel to hold off on the invasion of Gaza because there's more negotiations going on, think about it, okay? Thank you, Alex. This negotiation yielded 2 prisoners. There are still 200 more or so prisoners, right? Are we going to negotiate for another week for another 2 prisoners? And then another week for another 2 prisoners? Well, what happens? That whole time, Israel doesn't invade Gaza because the U.S. has asked Israel, don't upset the apple cart, right? We don't want Hamas getting pissed off and cutting off the negotiations. So I suspect Hamas is doing this as a way of dragging out the Israeli invasion. Now, I don't know what benefit they get. Thank you, Anna. Okay, I guess I do know what benefit they get. If Israel doesn't invade, Hamas has more time to prepare, perhaps. I'm not sure what preparation they're doing because they've already been preparing for years. Maybe they get to prepare more. I don't know. Thank you, Bonnie. But all I'm saying is there's some reason for this, and it's not quite making sense. And it wasn't for humanitarian reasons, so what was it? Just follow the story is all I'm saying. Biden's speech last night, I almost forgot about Biden's speech. Thank you, Boy Mom and Alexander. Biden's speech last night, Biden spoke to the nation, did an Oval Office address here in Washington, D.C., and these are rare for presidents. They do them when it's a very important matter for the nation, that kind of thing. And it was a very good speech. He did it about Ukraine and Israel. You guys will know, anybody who watches regularly knows, I am very honest about this. I will routinely tell you, Biden is a horrific messenger. He sucks at speeches. He's just terrible at messaging. He was very good last night. What was interesting, and I didn't even think about it until somebody mentioned it, but it could have been pre-recorded, but it would have been pre-recorded during the day. Doesn't really matter. He just got back from Israel yesterday morning, right? Thank you, blah, blah. He got back from Israel yesterday morning. He did a 1-day trip halfway around the world. It's a horrific trip to Israel from here. Even going directly is still a long flight, right? Went there for the day, came back, exhausted, and did it. He was, I will tell you, he looked good, which was very interesting. And again, I say this as somebody who thinks Biden, often doesn't look good. what really was interesting to me is Brit Hume on Fox News gushed about it. Now, Fox News, you guys know, not usually a big Biden fan. Brit Hume, certainly not a big Biden fan. I would say he's sort of the senior statesman of Fox News, and he gushed. He said, "Thank you, flower lady." Maybe that's the witch. Oh, thank you, Lori. Maybe, does that witch cackle too? If so, that may be the witch. I don't know which one, because I can't hear it because it's plugged in. Thank you for that. In any case, what was I saying with the, Brit Hume. Brit Hume said that it was the best speech of Biden's presidency by far. It was just very interesting across the board. So anyway, what did Biden talk about? He tied Israel and Ukraine together, basically said you've got two democracies, friends of America abroad, that are being attacked by their neighbors. The neighbor is trying to wipe them out. The neighbor's goal is to literally wipe them off the map, which was interesting. He then said a few different main messages. When dictators don't pay a price, they keep going. Putin won't stop with Ukraine. I'm paraphrasing now. Putin won't stop with Ukraine. He's been threatening Poland and the Baltic countries, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. We must prevent the conflict from spreading, both conflicts, by sending a strong message of support. He mentioned the murder of the Palestinian-American boy in Chicago, the 6-year-old boy who was murdered. I think his name was, I'm going to say Wajid. I don't have it written down. It was very nice of him. I mean, Biden had called the family earlier in the week, or the White House had. They then asked the family first, can we mention him? Or if it's too much, obviously we won't. And the family said, yes, please do. But it was very nice. He mentioned the boy. He mentioned anti-Semitism in the U.S. and said how there's no room for either, which was great. And then he also mentioned, which was interesting, he talked about Iran fueling both conflicts, which was funny because that was one of the things that I mentioned. Actually, Iran and Russia, to a degree, kind of having Wadia. There you go, Wadia, or Wadia, depending how you say it. Kelly's saying it was the boy's name. So it was a good speech. I don't know. I don't know. I sort of don't know how much people watch these things. I don't know how much difference they make, right? But thank you, Sherry Burt. But it was good. And like I said, I say this as somebody who thinks Biden's speeches are kind of So it was impressive. It was impressive, which is good. Now there's a new poll out which I thought was very interesting. Because here's the thing, and again, I'm in the U.S. I have a U.S. bias, so to speak, in terms of what interests me. And I will say 2/3 of maybe 70% of our audience is American, or U.S. based at least. So obviously I'm going to have a little more of a bias towards what the U.S. thinks, but also with conflicts like this, what the U.S. thinks is often instrumental in affecting the conflict, right? Whether I know, Jens, I was thinking some of it was what I was saying about Iran. I know. Some of it is the U.S. has such an oversized influence that I think it's important to look at opinion polls in the U.S. Thank you, Pam. And this was very interesting. This was American sympathies for Israel versus American sympathies for Palestinians or Palestine, whichever. And this was a poll conducted by YouGov, which is very good, and The Economist, which of course is very good and objective. And this was very interesting. Listen to this. Overall, what they found was sympathy for Israel has been going up since the conflict has been going on the last 2 weeks, and sympathy for the Palestinians is going down. Very interesting, because typically that's not how it works. Thank you, Dinan and Chad Rusher. Especially with what's been going on in the news the last week, you'd think, it's okay, what's the matter? Oh, there you go. Especially with what's been going on in the news the last week, we've been seeing so many news stories about, oh my God, Gaza bombing, blah, 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 that it's very, listen to this. So this is interesting. And again, like I said, American support is important because obviously it will influence, it will influence the administration to a degree. I mean, Biden's not going to change his mind on Israel, but nonetheless, listen to this. So from the beginning of the conflict, October 8th to 10th, and then October 14 to 17. So days 2 and 3 of the conflict after Hamas went and murdered all the Israelis to just a few days ago, the change. In the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, are your sympathies more with Israelis, Palestinians, about equal or not sure, okay? The beginning of the conflict, 42% of American adults said with the Israelis. 9% of American adults said the Palestinians. The number of adults sympathizing with the Israelis went up from 42 to 48%. The number of adults sympathizing with the Palestinians went from like 9 to 10%, which is about the same. Let's look at Democrats. Democrats went from 26 to 34% support. Independents, 41% support to 47% support. This is from the beginning of the conflict 2 weeks ago to today. Republicans went from 64% support of Israelis to 73% support. Now, support for Palestinians. Beginning of the conflict, everybody 9%, now 10%. Democrats were at 15%, now at 16%. So one point, but that's within margin of error. Independents, 9% to 10%, margin of error. And Republicans, almost insignificant. I'd say 2% to 2%. What you are seeing is, A, the Palestinians have got 1/4 of the support, actually 1/5 of the support that Israelis have in America in terms of sympathies. 2, you are seeing that support went up around 15% for Israel over the last 2 weeks. For Palestinians, it stays flat. Thank you, Jeddah Mom. And again, it's important. I mean, first of all, poll numbers, whatever. But I do think poll numbers are interesting because, again, I've told you guys, and I know some of the naysayers don't like it, but it's not my job to make you happy. My job is to try to tell you what's going on. Americans support Israel. Young people are divided, but they're divided. They're divided. They still support Israel more than the Palestinians in terms of the polls you see. Older, anybody who's not a kid, is definitely way more towards Israel. It's in the genes of the country at this point. I think it's been so long a part of America that, in terms of meaning decades and decades and decades, that it's possible you just kind of grow up with it too, to some degree, right? I mean, maybe you just support what your country supports, but we see Israel as one of our key allies in the world. Key. I mean, I compared it the other day to the Brits. We have a special relationship with the Brits. We perceive the Israelis the same way. Now, the Israelis are a pain in the ass. I've met some very nice Israelis, but boy, I've met some Israelis who are just a pain in the ass. I always said it's like Germans. Well, somebody made a joke once about Israelis being Germans mixed with like Arabs. And thank you, Courtney. And it's very true. I think, and maybe what was the joke? Something like the politeness of Germans, or no, the warmth of Germans mixed with the patience of Arabs, something like that. And I think that's exactly my sense of the Israelis I've met. It's like, whoa. But from an American perspective, and this is important for figuring out U.S. policy, the default for American policy is Israel. And if you don't support Israel, it's like not supporting England. And actually, I would say Israel more important than England in terms of the American mindset, I think. Because England still can get thrown in, the UK with Europe and that crazy Europe stuff that we've got, Europe, right? I mean, I like Europe, but that crazy anti-European thing that Americans can do, thank you, Shrek, they don't do it as much with Israel. And again, the Palestinian thing certainly gives people pause. I think over the last 20 years, you've seen support erode for Israel in the sense that people have become much more sympathetic to the Palestinians. Because before that, all you saw was the terrorism. Now you see the Palestinians being mistreated and living in camps and all this kind of thing, right? So the perception of them has been growing, which is good in the American public, in a better way. But nonetheless, anyway, just wanted to go through the poll because if you are trying to figure out U.S. policy, it is incredibly important for you to understand, 40% of Palestinians live in camps, is what I had read the other day. That's what I read, so. Anyway, Egyptian border. The Egyptian border did not open up this morning. It was supposed to. It didn't. So what do you do? I'm not sure why. Some senior Israeli officials told U.S. officials to expect a war that could last as long as 10 years. That does not surprise me. Look, this is not going to be a quick war. We know this. If Israel goes into Gaza, it's going to be very difficult. A lot of people are going to die in Gaza. A lot of Israeli troops are going to die in Gaza. Thank you, Left to See and Elizabeth. Yeah, it's let's see what happens. I think it's going to be long. Thank you, John S. This was interesting. So there's, I don't know what we're going to find with this hospital. So the hospital where there was an explosion a couple days ago in Gaza, and there's been a big debate over whether it was Israelis or Islamic Jihad, Palestinian terrorists. There's now a new, the consensus is that it was a Palestinian rocket that went bad. But there is a British forensic group called Forensic Architecture that believes the opposite. They think it was not an errant rocket from the Palestinians. They think it could have been an Israeli artillery shell. Thank you, Elizabeth. Some of the other experts are basically saying, why would Israel shoot an artillery shell into Gaza? Israel's been shooting rockets in. Not rockets, missiles, excuse me. Missiles in, I always get missiles and rockets mixed up, but missile being more sophisticated, rocket not. Israel's been shooting missiles in. Generally speaking, they don't just shoot an artillery shell wherever in Gaza. They just don't. Thank you, Trilytic. Every other attack has been missiles. But having said that, there's always a chance, right? I mean, this is one of those things, again, where I'm not going to say 100%. Thank you, Milan. Right? So what if some idiot did shoot an artillery shell? I don't know. But I just wanted to give you, there is a contrary view still out there. There was a fascinating interview today on Saudi television. Thank you, Aaron, for the gift. This was an interview with the head of Hamas, who is in Qatar, another Middle Eastern country there, basically not in exile, but I think to keep him safe, he's living there. Thank you, Mrs. Fantastico. The Ukrainians, the Israelis would kill him if he didn't. The interview was very interesting. A Saudi TV host, interviewer, is interviewing this guy, and she's just raking him over the coals. And I mean, again, this is Arab television. Arab television doesn't do this to Hamas. They don't. Listen to this. This was absolutely wild. So thank you, Timothy. I'm not going to play you the clip. The clip's too long. You'd have to see the subtitles and everything. But I'm going to read you some bits of it. This was translated and described by Hassan, who's American. Thank you, Bonnie. American of Syrian origin. He's the founder and editor-in-chief of New Lines magazine, expert on ISIS and other female reporter. Yes. I was going to say dark-haired, but we're all dark-haired from that region. Mediterranean and Middle East. But yeah, a female reporter, very strong. Listen to this. So Hassan is describing I watched the whole interview, translated, but Hassan is describing it. The Hamas leader gets visibly angry when she asks him if he would condemn Israeli civilian killings. Okay, she asks him. And she says to him, basically, well, you killed a lot of Israeli citizens. Are you going to apologize for that? And he says, and this Hassan says it was a mistake. It was a gaffe by the Hamas leader to dismiss civilian casualties as a natural consequence of war. He said, well, we don't kill civilians, but civilians die in war. That's what happens. And I heard that and I went, ooh, because they do. He's not wrong, but that's what Israel says. And she tells him that's exactly what Israel says, right? So are you going to apologize? And he was like, what? The guy was taken aback at this. Hang on, this goes on. She repeatedly asked him about Hamas expecting others to join in, despite making a unilateral, in other words, Hamas kept expecting Iran to join in, Hezbollah to join in, other Arab countries to join in. And she says, but you unilaterally decided to attack Israel without asking any of us. And so that was her first point. She goes, you didn't even ask any of us. You attacked Israel and you expect us to go to war when you didn't even ask? And then she said, this one blew my mind. Then she says, not only you made a unilateral decision, but she says you made a unilateral decision that you knew would make Israel respond with unprecedented brutality. So she's now hinting that everything Israel is doing is your fault. Because yes, Israel's to blame, whatever, right, for attacking Gaza. But you did this knowing Israel was going to do this, right? It was absolutely amazing. Listen to this. She says again, you expect other countries to join in carrying out an operation akin to a declaration of war. You didn't even consult fellow Palestinians. She says, why are your backers in Iran and Hezbollah not intervening on your behalf, but you expect other countries to do so? Has Iran been doing what you want? And her final point is, and he said is one you just wouldn't expect to hear on Arabic television, accusing Hamas of being ISIS. She says, you've been compared to ISIS. They've called you ISIS now. And you've made the world sympathize with Israelis. Wait, what was this? You've made the world sympathize with Israelis. You've made the world sympathize with Israelis, basically, she said. I mean, I'm watching this and I'm going, holy shit. Now, what's really interesting with this is not only it's Arabic TV, which you don't see this kind of stuff, but it's Saudi Arabian TV. And his point was, you are seeing she is telegraphing the Saudi position because she's not going to be doing it otherwise. And very interesting if Saudi Arabia is trying to put out some message of distancing itself from Hamas and the leadership, criticizing them, suggesting that other countries shouldn't join in. It was absolutely fact. But I mean, to me, the fact that she was talking about basically you've created sympathy for Israel and that it's understandable because you killed civilians and you made Israel do this. I mean, anyway, it blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. All right, that's it for the news from Israel. Let me do a quick, actually, I will mention because folks mentioned it. There was an Israeli missile or something that misfired today. It went off near a Greek church. It did not destroy a Greek church. Our wonderful media, once again, ran with a story because Hamas had said it and they didn't bother checking. Thank you, adventurers. But they claimed a Greek church was destroyed. A Greek church was not destroyed. A building connected to a Greek church was damaged. The Greek church itself is fine. And nonetheless, it was a misfiring from the Israelis. I think it did injure, maybe even killed some people in the area, yes. But 18 people died, depending who the source is, right? I'm not going to believe Hamas saying this. But, well, Callum, you're going to have a misfiring of missiles. You know, not misfiring, but you know what I mean? They're firing into civilian areas where there's military involved. Nonetheless, yes, something happened with the Greek church. It wasn't destroyed. So, in any case, I will do a quick pitch for the memberships, and then we're going to start with Ukraine news, because there's a lot of Ukraine news too. So one of the ways that I support my work here, guys, I do it full time, as you guys know. Normally we cover Ukraine, which I'm doing next, but I also cover Israel of late because the war is important. I think what's going on there with Israel and Gaza and the Palestinians and Hamas. And one of the ways of supporting is the memberships. Now, one of the benefits of memberships, which is basically a monthly contribution you can give me of support. You can do it on Ko-fi, which a lot of you know. You'll find the Ko-fi link at the bottom of the screen there. You guys can find the Ko-fi link in my bio. Thank you, Danan. And the link to Ko-fi, basically it's like a, thank you, Mrs. Fantastico. It's like a Patreon, basically. But you guys can click in my bio on the link and you'll see it come up. Another way are doing memberships on TikTok. You can do a monthly subscriber there. You can see the folks that have SNN after their name, like Didar and others. They are monthly subscribers. You can do it on YouTube. The monthly subscribers are in green. So you see Susan and Dark Irish, Annette, and some of the others, Chris, and some of the others there. You also can do it on Discord monthly membership. Thank you, Danan. And Twitch. I think that might be everything. I'm not sure. So please do consider doing that if you like my work and you can afford it. But I would appreciate it because I do this for free. Thank you, Leftasy. And thank you, Marcy. I keep forgetting about that. I like that one. And Marcy again. Oh, Marcy and Nicolas. Merci, Nicolas. Yeah, if you can help, I'd appreciate it because I do this full time, like I said, and it helps to pay the bills, which helps me do this. So thank you. The other way, of course, is the gifts. Please do keep the gifts coming on TikTok and YouTube, etc., because they help too, and they are very much appreciated. All right, let's keep going. Ukraine. Today is day 604. I thought it was more than 601. Remember yesterday, some of you guys were saying 601. I didn't think it was 601. Today is day 604 of Vladimir Putin's 3-day special military operation in Ukraine. Our fundraiser is doing very well. We have a fundraiser going on to raise money to help do trainings, drone trainings for drone operators in Ukraine. We've raised $1,198. Our goal is to raise $1,971. My friend Vlad in Ukraine, who a lot of the regulars know, he's probably going to be with us tomorrow in our coffee talk chat we do for the monthly subscribers. Vlad beams in from Ukraine. But Vlad handles all of our charity work and everything else, has relationships with the military. And the military folks contacted him and said, you know, we've got a training center for training on operating drones, and we need some equipment. We need 2 drones. They need some motors for drones, because they also, I think, create them. They need motor for drones. They need, I think, like the control thing for the drones. Anyway, bottom line is they need $1,971. They've already raised $1,198. I will say a large chunk of that is a ridiculously generous gift from Arctic Legacy, who is with, I don't know if he's with us tonight, but he's usually with us. So that was amazing. But if the rest of you can help, I'm going to keep pitching this until we hit our goal of 1,971. 100% of the money is going directly to the Israelis. Is going directly to the Ukrainians. We are not taking any. 100% is going there. 100% will be buying the equipment so they can do the trainings on the drones. So if you can help, thank you very much. I appreciate it. The way you help on YouTube, etc., you can go to Vlad's TikTok go to Vlad's, go to your PayPal and just give money via Vlad's PayPal. That's Vlad's PayPal address right there. Just give it. You don't have to put a note or anything with it. Vlad knows. All the money coming in right now is for this. And for you guys, you can go to my bio on TikTok, click the Linktree link, and the very top entry will be raising money for this drone program. Again, you can't really click through to PayPal, I think, because he's in Ukraine or whatever, but it gives you his PayPal info, his PayPal email. Just copy it or type it in yourself into PayPal, and that's how you give. So if you can, I'd appreciate it, guys. Thank you. All right, next issue. So Avdiivka. So Avdiivka, I should say, pronounce it correctly. Avdiivka is a battle going on north of Donetsk. We'll use our little map here. Donetsk is here. Avdiivka is just a little northwest of here. It is a suburb, basically, right northwest of Donetsk. The Russians control Donetsk, Ukrainian territory, of course. The Russians control it. And I'm going to turn this off. The Russians have put a lot of men into trying to take back the town of Avdiivka. And I'm talking a lot. They've poured a ton of troops in. And guess what? Not doing so well. Not doing so well at all. Kim, really not doing contributions other than PayPal because it's too hard. Otherwise, I've got to accept the contributions, and I don't like taking contributions when they're going for Ukraine. I'd rather not touch them at all. I think it's easier for me to make it clear that I'm not taking the money if I'm not taking the money. So I really, and actually, you don't even need a PayPal account anyway for PayPal. I mean, you can also, well, no, for his you do. For his you do. Because he doesn't have that link to the page. I will say this, if you don't have PayPal, you should get PayPal. I don't want to be mom and dad here, but I will. There's no excuse for not having PayPal today. Yeah, you talk to your kid, because it's used for so many things that it's hard not to have it at this point, I would say. Yeah, ask your son, but it's really useful. And actually, what I like about PayPal, I will say, PayPal is great. I'm going to do my PayPal pitch. PayPal's great because PayPal is really good to give you sort of insurance, so to speak, if the person doesn't send you what they were going to send you. I mean, in this case, it's a contribution, but I'll use PayPal for my auctions or something. And if I don't send the auction item to you, but you paid me, PayPal's great about giving it back. A credit card might, but a credit card's a little weird because you can't use a credit card to do a personal transaction. You know what I mean? But they're really good when if you don't receive the item. So it's good for trust, basically. Thank you, Scott. Like, I don't mind, for example, selling things to somebody abroad if we use PayPal, because I know if they screw me, I can just call PayPal and PayPal will give me the money back. Anyway, no, I'm serious. It's really useful. It really is. All right, enough of PayPal. So anyway, Avdiivka, the Ukrainians, according to the Ukrainian General Staff, the Ukrainians have repelled over 20 Russian attacks near Avdiivka in eastern Ukraine within 24 hours. The Russians have reportedly suffered heavy losses, very heavy losses, which is very interesting. Actually, my final PayPal point here. Vlad can't do it because he's in Ukraine and it's complicated, but generally speaking for PayPal, you can set up a link people can click and they don't need PayPal accounts. They can just donate to you. You know, by using a credit card, stuff like that. Yeah, and Audrienne, I think I saw, was that the person doing the flags and the hearts? Give them, I assume you gave them a warning first. Give them a warning, and if they keep doing it, obviously then mute them. Although I think if it's the person I saw, you gave them a minute, which is fine. You know, anybody doing flags, I just don't want people spamming flags. Exactly. I don't mind you guys doing Israeli, Palestinian flags, whatever. Just don't spam them, because if you're doing it nonstop, it gets kind of annoying, and it kind of interferes. But I think anybody doing it, yeah, give them 1 minute or 5 minute mute, and then, but make sure you tell them. Yeah, just make sure you tell them is my point, right? Okay, Biden administration. So Biden administration asked Congress today for additional funding. Thank you, Yaya. That's funny, Yaya. In Greek, Yaya is grandmother. So I'm going, thank you, Yaya. I'm like, that's cute. Time for the tiny diny. Biden administration asked Congress today for additional money for Ukraine and Israel, humanitarian aid for the Middle East, and for the border wall, or not border wall, but for the border with Mexico. Specifically, they asked Congress on Friday to approve $106 billion over all of emergency aid, $61 billion for Ukraine, including $44 billion equipment for Ukraine, but also replenishing American stocks. So a lot of the money is going to go to America as well. It will be spent on American companies, which will help our economy. $14 billion for Israel. Including $9 billion for humanitarian assistance to Ukraine, Israel, and Gaza. And the White House is also asking Congress for $13 billion to address migration at the southern border, which is good too. As I mentioned before, what's interesting with the southern border stuff is that's an argument that Republicans were using, MAGA Republicans especially, against aid to Ukraine. They were saying that, well, you're spending all this money on Israel's border, on Ukraine's border. Thank you again, on Israel's, Israel. I'm getting everything mixed up. Thank you, Roy, I can't see it. Ro, thank you, Ro. You're spending all this money on Ukraine's border, but you're not spending it on, to defend America's border. So Biden's putting up a good chunk of change to help beef up America's border, which is good. I think it's very good. So, excellent. Oh, Roy or Roi, or is it an exclamation? I don't know. I'm never going to be able to pronounce foreign names. Play Yaya Ding Dong? That's cute, Brad. Yeah. Yaya Ding Dong. What is Yaya Ding Dong? I don't even know. Is that a thing? I could try. Alexa, play Yaya Ding Dong? Except I don't want it to freak out for... No, she got confused, I think, on that one. I tried. I don't want it to freak out on YouTube because when music plays, YouTube gets upset. TikTok doesn't mind for the lives, but YouTube gets annoyed. German aid. Germany has transferred another 3 self-propelled Gepard anti-aircraft guns to Ukraine, over 3,000 rounds of smoke ammunition and other military equipment. This is what I told you about how Ukraine will do stuff to piss us off. Germany will do stuff to piss us off, and then they'll do good stuff. This is good Germany. Bad Germany said they weren't giving Taurus missiles yesterday or the day before. Good Germany today is giving more aid. So, they go back and forth. Romania is going to install an anti-drone system along its border with Ukraine. This is because of the Russian drones that keep crossing the border into Romania. Ukrainian resistance. This was interesting. So you know how the Ukrainian resistance people, I'm always telling you guys in southeastern Ukraine, actually this was in Melitopol, but usually it's Melitopol or Mariupol. And oh, hello, Imperfect. Oh, wow. That was really cool. I'm glad I turned my head, Imperfectioner. I was looking at the map for a second. I almost missed it. Wow. Thank you so much for that. That was very cool and I'm sure that was very generous too. I know when I see gifts I haven't seen, that usually it means they're pretty darn nice. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Tom sent to Garland. Okay, thanks. Was I turning away, Tom, when it happened? Sorry. All right, I'm turning to the map for 1 second. All right. Thank you, Danan. So this area of the country, thank you, Addie. I'm going to look at you guys so I don't miss it now. This part of the country has got a lot of resistance. So they're basically Ukrainians that are working with Ukrainian intelligence. So they're private citizens who have been who are working. Actually, go to your Timothy. Just go to your settings. You should be able to go to your settings in TikTok and cancel. The only thing is, anyway, that's how you would do it. Look at your TikTok settings. There's got to be a way in there. They handle everything. I don't, but yeah. So what's going on is you've got, thank you, Ruthie and Jenny. You've got a number of Ukrainian citizens living under Russian occupation in Ukraine that are basically working with Ukrainian intelligence, working with the Ukrainian military. And they've been blowing things up. They generally blow up collaborators who are basically Dadar? I have no idea. Same thing, actually. Go to your settings, and somewhere in your settings, you must have subscriptions on your TikTok settings. I don't know if you're being funny or being serious, but if you are, thank you. Or Discord. Discord's a different question. Do you mean here or Discord? Oh, you mean No, whichever one. Thank you, Barek. I don't want to miss all of these. Addie, Danan, Derek. I visited Barek. Derek, I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Thank you guys for the gifts. Jenny Jen for the earth. Okay, I think I got you guys. So Israel typically is blowing up collaborators. They're typically been planting bombs and blowing up people that have been collaborating with the Russians, basically working for the Russians, helping the Russians run the occupation of their own people, right? Well, what they did recently, which is very interesting, they blew up, they detonated a car full of looters in the occupied town of Mariupol. According to Ukrainian official, I believe former mayor of the town or exiled mayor of the town, they were regularly singling out and looting empty apartments. Thank you, Bonnie. In the city. This time our resistance was tracking them. So these are Ukrainians who were going to the apartments that were abandoned because people fled because the Russians occupied, and they were going to the apartments and stealing things. So the resistance blew up a car full of these looters to basically say, stop stealing things from your fellow Ukrainians because hopefully someday they come back. It was pretty, I was like, wow. Pretty wild though, but it's also interesting that they've got that kind of network behind enemy lines. Very interesting. The International Olympic Committee stood up to Russia today. So this was interesting and something I did not know. So the Russians have been complaining about ethnic discrimination from the International Olympic Committee, that the IOC doesn't like Russians because they're Russians and they don't like their genes, their ethnicity. This is part of the whole thing with the Russians when they constantly claim Russophobia, that everybody has Russophobia, and that's the reason we don't like genocide, because we have Russophobia. Well, of course, with the Olympics, the Russians have two problems. One, all of their athletes are doped, which can be a problem. A lot of them are. Thank you, Joe and Mustard. And the Russians keep getting caught with their athletes being on drugs, and they steroids and everything else, and they cheat. As Bill said, they just cheat all the time, and they keep getting caught. Well, and they get punished for it. Well, the other thing is, because of the war in Ukraine, and this, I knew this, but I didn't know what the justification was. The justification kind of blew my mind here, guys. Listen to this. I'm going to read you what the International Olympic Committee said. The sanctions on Russia from the International Olympic Committee are a reaction to the breach of the Olympic Charter by the Russian and Belarusian governments. This was referring to the military invasion of Ukraine starting in February 2022. Listen to this. 4 days after the Beijing Winter Olympics closed, the United Nations-backed Olympic truce was still in force. So the UN must have passed a long time ago something that says there is a truce for the Olympics, which is the way it used to work in ancient Greece. All the warring parties would stop warring when the Olympics were taking place because they would do the games. The truce had not ended yet when the Russians invaded Ukraine. And as an Olympic member, a team in the Olympics, they violated the truce. I thought this was fascinating. I had never heard this reason for why they were being punished and all of that. I just think it's fascinating. So yeah, also because it's the old history of which we did know that in the old times they would suspend wars and things. Thank you, Macabre. But I thought, I've even got chills telling you, what a kind of wild, and I love that the Olympic Committee just kind of, they basically said, no, it's not because you're Russians, it's because you broke the rules. Again, you cheated again, basically. Thank you, Brian, for the heart. Ukraine's economy, I think this is the last story I've got. Ukraine's economy is rebounding. It's going to take a long time to get back to where it was before the Russians destroyed it. But the New York Times says, although Ukraine's economic output is still considerably smaller than before the war, the economy shrank by 1/3 after Russia's invasion. It will grow by an estimated 3.5% this year, the World Bank predicts. The expansion is driven by a pickup in domestic spending and underpinned by a steady flow of foreign aid. So the foreign aid is helping. Thank you, Chazak, which is a little artificial, obviously, but what do you do? Economists say it will take many years for Ukraine's economy to return to pre-war levels. Not surprising, obviously. They've got to rebuild the country. Cities have been destroyed. Industries have been destroyed. People's jobs have been destroyed. Everything else, right? Anyway, I just thought that was very interesting. Our new auctions are up. I will show you a couple auction items because you know I like to do that. Yes, Paris is having main bed bug problems, I read. We do auctions over on Discord, and the auctions are basically a way of supporting my work and supporting Ukraine. We've got a Discord community, discord.aravosis.com, and I do auctions of cool stuff, mostly from Ukraine there. And 50% of the auction money we channel back into Ukraine. We use it for the various fundraisers we're doing. I have to ask Vlad right now, but my guess is we may use it for, I sent him, I forgot if it was $200 today, maybe, because the auctions were a little less this week. Maybe $200, I've got to double check what it was, $300 maybe. But I sent that to Vlad this morning, and we may use it for the auction we're doing, the fundraiser we're doing this week to help do trainings on drones for Ukrainian troops. But anyway, we use half the money for our aid to Ukraine, half of it to support my work doing this. But just to show you guys a couple of the things we've got another of the cool bracelets that Vlad's daughter picked up in Ukraine. Vlad went to the market with his daughter, who's four-year-old Vicky, who's this adorable little blonde girl, and he had Vicky pick out the bracelets. Thank you, James. So this is one of Vicky's bracelets she picked out. You've got the map of Ukraine with the trident, and it's the colors of Ukraine. You guys can see there. Very pretty. And of course, pink, although she did pick out blue ones for the boys, haha, whichever color you like. This one's pink, of course, we have today. The really nice Ukrainian, I think this way, yep. The Ukrainian flag patch. This is Ukrainian military patch. These are nice, they're Velcro. They go on, well, they don't go on here. They go on the military shirts, which we do auction off. But these are nice because they're the most popular, flag patches overall, actually, that the Ukrainian troops wear. We've got, finally we're doing more stamps. These are the Russian, these are actually the tractor tank stamps. These are the stamps they say, I'll show you guys in a minute, good evening, we are from Ukraine, and they honor the Ukrainian tractors that have been pulling Russian tanks basically at the beginning of the war when the Russians abandoned all their tanks because they lost and ran. The Ukrainian farmers dragged the tanks and brought them back so they could be used by their troops, which is so cool. You will know if you won the auction. There is a section, no one realized this. If you look at the auction section, hopefully you guys can still see it. I will show you right now. There is a section in the auctions that's called winner. And what do you know? The section that says winner lets you know who the winner is. Now, I'm actually a little worried that maybe you guys can't see it because every time people are always asking me like who won or if they won. I will show you here. Look, so you see how it says auction area and then you look and it says VIP auctions and then public auctions. Look below public auctions. Auction winner, there's a winner category. You click the winner category. So you guys, auctions, VIP auctions, public auctions, and then auction winner, you see? And if you click winner, it literally shows you who won. So this was the challenge coin, and you see $81 from Chazak. See, Chazak, $81, and you can even push the button that says bids and see what the other bids were. So you can see that Chazak didn't cheat, that Chazak actually won. But yes, a lot of people don't realize that. You actually can, I always laugh because people ask me, did I win or who won or how much do I owe you? And I'm like, it's all in the winner section. Anyway, we've got that. Two other items. Another beautiful hand-painted cutting board from Ukraine, decorative of course, on the Petrakivka, I believe style it's called, traditional Ukrainian style. I've got some of the explanation in the description there. Wood background, of course. This is decorative. You would not use it for real. Although I wonder, could you, people who know these things, can you put like a shellac on something so that you actually could use it? I don't think so though, because you'd want to protect the paint too. I don't think there's any way, Barbie talk, yeah, I don't think there's any way you actually could use it. I would put it on the wall. I don't think you could though. I don't know the kind of wood. I don't know, guys. No idea. I would never consider using it. I would think you'd have to have like an epoxy resin, exactly. You'd have to have something so strong that you wouldn't, yeah, and it's not safe anyway. This goes on the wall, basically, but very pretty. And the final thing, I mentioned this the other day, these I love. There's other things too. There's a spent Russian machine gun shell that has a painting on it of the Ukrainian trident, but I'm not going to show you that because it's a machine gun shell, and I never know how TikTok and YouTube react to such things, so we're not going to do that. This, however, is art. This is an old, and I've got it written down from a BMP, like a armored personnel carrier, and it's one of the shell casings from an armored personnel carrier, right? And the Ukrainians turned it into art with the symbol of Ukraine, the trident, and it's an angel. Check it out. I love this. I've only got a couple of these. It's an angel, though. I'm like, you guys can see. Now, I'm going to do a video, too, because you can only see as it moves is when you appreciate what it is. Is this not the coolest thing? It's trench art. Yeah, yeah. It's so, I've only got a couple of them. I may be keeping one. I haven't decided yet. Thank you, Pauline. But I know Callum gets mad when I keep these things, but I may keep one of them. I haven't decided. But what I like is one of you had mentioned, this one is not as shiny. Some are shiny, some are not. This is the one that Callum liked, I think. That was the one that's rougher. It's not as shiny. It's not shined. I should say it's raw. This is what it looks like normally, the shell. And some of the other ones are polished. This is the actual shell. But what's nice about this is somebody had mentioned you could use it as a candle holder, which was a brilliant idea because it's metal. And you just slip a candle in, and it's a candle holder, which would be really cool. And it's, right? Yeah, well, that's what I mean. The raw look is cool, too. Anyway, this is very neat. And this, I have no problem with doing international bids. The other shell is a shell. There's no way I'm shipping that abroad. I don't know the legality. This is no longer a shell. This is art. I mean, clearly this is no longer a shell. You know what I mean? So this international bids are okay as well. I love this. This, I only bought a few of them because also they weren't cheap. I only bought a few of them, but they're totally cool. Yeah. So anyway, lots of other stuff. Go check it out. I've got most of the auction items up. I think there's 2 left that aren't up, but you check them out at the auctions, discord.aravosis.com. Can you still smell the gunpowder? I don't think so. No. Well, I don't think so. I think I just smell metal. I probably just inhaled a bunch of Ukraine, right? The Ukraine war right there. But they're very neat, yeah. I love the art. I love the Ukrainian sort of, well, the trench art it's called. You know, I do have a few other challenge coins, yes. I'm actually saving, I have a very nice challenge coin that I'm saving. I think it's the nicest one. Oh, thank you, WJ. The nicest one I've got is another Russian warship, Go F Yourself, but it's sort of colored. It's not just gold. It's very nice. It's very nice. So very cool. Anyway, so yeah, so let's do our anything in the TikTok store. I don't understand the TikTok store yet. I don't understand it. This is the question portion. Yes. I don't understand how to use the TikTok store, so I haven't figured out how to do it. I mean, I guess I could try to put some of the stuff in the TikTok store. I mean, right? Do you just put some of your stuff up and say I only have one, and if somebody buys it, that's who I sent it to? I guess. Sorry, my nose is itching terribly today. I'll have to figure it out. I don't understand the TikTok store at all. Yeah. Any case, yeah. At the very end, I will review the stories we talked about today: the Israel coverage and the Ukraine coverage. So don't worry. I will do both. Stop echo. It just drives me nuts sometimes. Sorry, I'm putting my fan on again. Here we go. But yeah, let's do Q&A, guys. Oh, thank you, Joshua. Please do keep the gifts coming. Somebody's got to feed the dog. But thank you, and let's just keep doing. I mean, I'm good. The best stuff I'm keeping for the auctions anyway. But I've often wondered about trying to do stuff publicly, but I kind of feel like the auction's just easier, you know? Thank you, Danan. And I like the auctions because I like the VIP section for the auctions, for example. Thank you, Peoples and Danan. Oh, and who did the hat? Joe. Thank you, Joe. The auctions are nice because there's a VIP section for the monthly donors, except TikTok, because TikTok is still broken and the connection to Discord is still broken. So I apologize, but TikTok is trying to fix it, and it's been months, and I don't know. If TikTok, if you're listening, please fix it. But for all the other monthly subscribers but TikTok, you can access the VIP auctions. Thank you, Super Hornet. So they're for just the paid subscribers. So I like that because, again, it's a way to give people sort of a thank you for supporting me, which is nice. All right, guys. Anyway, let's do questions. So I've got some Ukrainian. I do have some Ukrainian military shirts, John. I actually have the shirts that Zelensky wears. The only thing is, I was holding off on them because it's the fall. And I like this week I was going to do one, but I wasn't sure if it's the fall. Maybe I'll do one this week. I can grab one. If I remember to do it, I'll grab one and put one in. I mean, why not? It's worth a try. But I just didn't because I was saving them till next spring. So, you know, how big is 60 billion for Ukraine? Well, I mean, when you think about it, I think that's about a year's worth is my guess. Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. My guess is that's about a year's worth probably. Also, 60 billion isn't just 60 billion for Ukraine, though. Let me pull up the original amounts again here, guys. Hang on. Hold on. Everything's out of order now. Don't do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. All right. Well, I'll put one of the Zelensky shirts up. I will do that then. All right. Here we go. Yeah, so 44 billion will provide the Department of Defense equipment for Ukraine and to replenish weapon stocks in America. So it's not all of the money isn't going to Ukraine. A lot of it is also going to America as well. Basically for us to rebuild our weapons, which means we're building up our stocks of weapons. We're spending it on domestic companies, domestic, everything. So it's not all Ukraine. So I don't know. I don't know whether this is meant to be for 6 months. I don't know how long it's meant to be for. I don't know. It's a good question, though. I am not Ukrainian, no. I'm just a sympathizer, and I'm not a big fan of the Russians. Never been a big fan of the Russians. I was alive and kicking during the Soviet years, and am intimately aware. I studied a lot of the Soviet Union when I was in graduate school, back when the Soviet Union still existed, and I'm not a fan. So there. I'm Greek, correct. You bid in the auctions. You go to Discord, discord.aravosis.com, and on the left-hand side, you'll see the auctions. But you gotta, join our Discord and all. Oh, sorry, Eddie. Yeah, you gotta join our auctions or join our Discord, though. Are you a member of our Discord? If not, maybe some of the mods can help you. I don't know if you're a member of the Discord or not, though, because that's the first hurdle to cross. Oh, GT, excellent. If not, maybe some of the mods can help you who are here. Like Ash and Manda and some of the others, Callum, are regulars on Discord as well. So, see. All right, what else we got, guys? Yep. What else we got? Well, I mean, the new lot, you're getting a lot of... You're getting a lot of angry people coming in the new lot, so, the old lot included a lot of Russians that the mods ban, so Discord is hard, I will say. Until you figure Discord out, it's not easy. Once you figure it out, it's a lot easier. Like, now Discord's easy. When I first got on Discord, it confused the hell out of me. And I was like, I've been doing tech stuff for decades, and Discord totally confused me. So it can be an issue, yeah. I don't think so, Claire. Do you think Biden is supporting Israel partly because Putin is supporting Hamas? It's okay. That's not why, but you've got to remember that historically, the Russians have been supporting the Palestinians. Historically, America's been supporting Israel. Historically, Russia has supported Israel's enemies. So Russia supported Syria, for example, right? Russia would support, right now Russia's supporting Iran. And Iran is not just enemy number one for Israel, but Iran has been financing and providing the weapons to Israel's enemies, to Hamas and Hezbollah. So you've got a long history of the Cold War playing out in the Middle East at the same time. So a lot of that history is there to start with, and then over time, what happens? America's relationships deepen with Israel because they've been going on for so many decades, and Russia's relationships deepen with Syria and Iran and others because they've been going on for decades. So it's not the reason Biden is not supporting Israel because Putin's supporting Hamas. There is a long history of Russia, I will say, supporting bad guys, but also the Palestinians, who are not bad guys, in the Middle East, and America supporting Israel. But having said that, America is also a super big supporter of Jordan and Egypt too. So it depends. We're a huge supporter of Egypt. We give them billions every year, right? Anyway, when does it end? God only knows when it ends. I mean, it's, Discord tells you your account has not been claimed when I try to do so. It says my email is already claimed. It makes me wonder. Well, first of all, let's okay, go over. Well, I'm not sure what you mean. Are you saying you can't even get into Discord, like to put a help in that Syndicate could help us with? Is that what? Are you saying that? Or are you saying you're trying to transfer your YouTube subscription over to Discord, so to speak, so Discord recognizes it? Sally, which one is it? Yeah, John, see if you can give her some advice. Okay, yeah, you guys who have had the same problem, help her initially, if you can. Because Syndicate can help us, but typically we do it with Syndicate via a help question on the Discord, and I don't know if she can't even get in there. Can't we denounce Hamas and still support Palestinian people? Yes, yes. But I think a lot of people denounce Hamas and support the Palestinian people. The only thing is, America supports Israel. So we absolutely sympathize with the Palestinian people and support, you know, I mean, you have to get into some details here of the Biden administration's policies and America's policy, but we support Israel too. And I would argue, well, I don't want to get into it, but bottom line is it starts to get into what you mean by support. Because I suspect Israel supporters would say that a lot of the pro-Palestinian folks don't really support Israel either. So you get into that whole dynamic, I think, you know? Didn't the Palestinian people actually put Hamas in power? I believe so. That was the election back in like 2007 or so. But then Hamas, of course, stopped doing the elections, and then that was it. So they stayed and they never went away. Now, recent polls show 45 to 50% support for Hamas among Palestinians, which is not great. You know, having said that, Americans also supported Trump. So, you know, do you bomb Americans because they supported? I mean, right? You get into that very complicated issue of when do you blame the citizens for their government, even if they voted for it, right? It's a weird, or how do you blame them? Thank you, Norway, Fox, for the superpower. It's a weird, you know. Oh, was it 2006? Okay, thank you. He's been more friendly. Jay is saying, I felt in the past few years that Israel under Netanyahu has been very friendly with Russia. With all the support U.S. and Biden has given Israel, why does Israel not support us more? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there with that question. From what I know, Netanyahu has a close relationship with Putin, meaning there's they've got good chemistry, is what I read, right? So they get along very well. Secondly, they need each other. I mean, Israel really needs Russia in Syria. Russians control Syria. The Israelis and the Russians reportedly share a lot of intelligence, you know, stuff going on in the region. The Israelis need the Russians because the Israelis need to be able to go into Syria and bomb the Iranian-backed militants and all that kind of stuff. So that there's a complicated relationship there, which is why Israel has not been very helpful to Ukraine, because they don't want to lose the relationship with Russia, you know? Having said that, oh shoot, that's what I was going to tell you too, although it's hard to tell you without showing you. There was a video last night, and again, YouTube is evil, so I can't show you. I could show, maybe tomorrow morning I can show you guys in the private live, but there's a video by a guy named Weitzman, who's a member of, I believe, Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel's own party, very important guy. And what was really interesting is he was interviewed on RT, Russia Today, right? Hey, JC, welcome. Right now we're doing the question and answer, so we're talking about everything, Israel and Ukraine. So just depends what the question is. People were asking me about Israel right now. So there was a really interesting, so there's a great video. There is a great video out there if you can find it. It's on TikTok, among other places. And it is, as I said, a Israeli politician named Weitzman, Weitzman. It's a wild interview. Yeah, see, some people saw it. He is, I believe, Netanyahu's own party, a very important man in Netanyahu's own party, the Israeli prime minister, and he is being interviewed by RT, Russia Today. RT, Russia Today, is Russia's propaganda station that beams all over the world in English and other languages as basically it's really nasty propaganda. The English one is all about attacking the U.S. basically, and the Brits. I believe there might be a French one and some other ones too. This Israeli politician goes on there to be interviewed and is livid. He's screaming at the host. The host is like some British. He sounds British, but I mean they're all Russian sympathizers. They all work for Putin basically. And he is yelling at the host and he's saying, "You did this. You people did this. Hamas. You support Hamas. You gave them the money. You gave them the weapons. You have literally killed 1,400 Israelis, and you are the ones who gave these Nazis the weapons to kill us, and you're still giving them the weapons and the money to kill us, and we are going to hold you responsible." And the host is like, "Wait, who? What do you mean we?" He goes, "Russia will pay." He's literally screaming at the camera. "Russia will pay for this. You will pay for, because what do you mean Russia will? What do you mean we will pay?" And the guy's getting really indignant, like, "How dare you?" And he goes, and it's great because he's also acting like the host is almost like we are Russia. Like, "What do you mean Russia will pay?" And he goes, "I am telling you, when this war is over, you will pay for this. You have killed Israelis. You are literally supporting the Nazis who are trying to kill my country." And I mean, and you're listening to this going, "Holy shit." Now, I don't know. I know we've got some Israelis with us today. I don't know how influential this guy is. I don't know whether that emotion is evident in the rest of Israeli society. But I mean, because I will tell you, as a Ukraine supporter and as an Israel supporter, it really pisses me off how Israel has not helped Ukraine. The last name's Weitzman, Weitzman. I'm going to look it up. Actually, I'll look it up right now. I don't want to play the clip because, again, YouTube will get weird at me if I use the clip because YouTube is evil. But I can find the clip just to make sure here for you all, because I know I retweeted it last night and was like, holy cow. Holy cow. I support masks and vaccines because I'm not a lunatic. Correct. Feel free to join us anytime in the year 2023. I also don't do bullshit, just FYI. Anybody who watches my shows or knows me knows that, so don't even attempt it. Hold on, I'm gonna find this. This was so good. But I think it was last night, guys. Hold on, I'm gonna find you this Israeli guy. La la la. Brit Hume, this was the Biden stuff. Here we go, here we go. Oh, this is with Spanish subtitles. Here we go. Amir Whiteman. Well, here, I'll show you guys so you can see his name. That's the video, but I'm not going to play the video, of course. Amir Whiteman. This is from a defense guy I follow. Powerful member of Netanyahu's Likud party in Israel went live on Russia Today and, oh boy, tore into the Russia stance. I was only waiting for him to step through the screen. What an epic statement. So this is the guy. Amir Whiteman. Now, again, any Israelis with us to tell us like who this guy is? Is he somebody? He ripped that reporter to shreds, actually. This was on TikTok, but it was on Twitter, excuse me, but it was Russia Today, RT. So, never heard of him. Okay, it says Amir Whiteman, supposedly member of Likud. So I don't know. But supposedly influential, I don't know. But it was really good. It was really good. So, but it'd be nice if Russia were starting to, hurt its reputation in Israel. But, do you think if Iran attacks Israel, Israel will nuke them? No. If Iran were to nuke Israel, Israel will nuke them. If Iran were, if any country were on the verge of wiping out Israel, Israel will nuke them. Yes. Yes. I mean, I don't want to speak for Israel here, but we would do the same. If it is the matter of you are on the verge of wiping out our country, then you will be nuked. Yes. But I don't think it's going to get there. That's what I mean. Israel is reasonable in that sense. They're not just going to use nukes, right? Israel's had nukes for at least 20 years, if not 20 years. Israel's had nukes for 30 plus years. They've got like 90, they had 100 nukes 20, 30 years ago. They probably still do. Yeah. It's interesting. It's very. I mean, it's kind of funny because you didn't know that they've had nukes for a long time. Yeah, yeah. North Korea threats from this morning? No, but I mean North Korea since the '60s. It goes back that far, John? Really? Get out of here. Since the 1960s? Get out of here. I didn't know that. Wow. Yeah, 90 warheads. I mean, they had 130 years ago or something, so I'm sure they still do. Thank you, Norway Fox. And Danan. Hey, David. Love you back. Yeah, Ukraine used to have nukes too, and Ukraine gave them up. Biggest mistake of their lives. Biggest mistakes of their lives. You know? Interesting. I say interesting when something is interesting. To me, interesting is a word that means intellectually interesting. Meaning it's something that should give you pause and go, huh, right? Something worth taking notice of. So, this is the problem with Ukraine overall, guys. The lesson learned, Ukraine had nuclear weapons. The Soviet Union dissolves, and Ukraine inherits a portion of the Soviet, because the Soviet Union was made up of a number of different countries that basically Russia ate. So Russia was holding hostage Ukraine, the Baltic states, a bunch of different countries, right? They get free because the Soviet Union dissolves, and Russia still doesn't want to accept it, which is why Russia's attacking Ukraine, because Russia thinks Ukraine is still Russia, because the Russians are still Soviets. They're still imperialists. This is what they do. The Ukrainians get free. Well, the Soviet Union had nuclear weapons and weapons all over the country. Well, the different parts of the country inherited those weapons. So in addition to inheriting planes and tanks and everything else, they inherited nuclear weapons. Ukraine inherited something, what it couldn't be, 2,700? I thought it was closer to 6,000. It was a lot of nuclear weapons that Ukraine inherited from the USSR. Well, what happens? Yeah, the third highest number of nukes after the USSR and America. 2,700? Okay. It was a huge number. Well, America, Europe get involved, and we convince the Ukrainians to give up their nukes for the good of the world. And we signed this Budapest Memorandum, where America and Britain, and I think France a little bit too, promised that we will guarantee the security of Ukraine if they will only give up their nukes, and Russia signs it too. Well, what happens? Russia invades Ukraine repeatedly, steals their land, and Britain and America last time didn't do much of anything. This time, well, America, I should say, Britain, I wasn't paying attention. America, we didn't do much last time. This time, we've all been helping, but still holding back. The lesson, which is really scary here, is that Ukraine should not have given up its nuclear weapons. Had Ukraine not given up its nuclear weapons, Russia would not have invaded. Now, Ukraine was not able to use the nuclear weapons it had, but I also read some experts saying Ukraine could have learned how to use the weapons it had, right? I mean, they could have totally learned how to exactly, Stooge. Yep, Russia promised they wouldn't invade, and they invaded twice. Part of the deal was Russia promising we won't invade for Ukraine to give up the weapons. So anyway, had Ukraine not giving up the nukes, Russia would have never invaded them. First lesson, don't give up your nukes. Second lesson, get nukes. Because A, not only will you run less of a risk of being invaded, but B, people will treat you a lot more nicely if you've got nukes, like Russia getting away with murder in Ukraine. Now, what I will say, what is interesting, you know what's interesting though? When I think about it, Israel isn't really treated like a nuclear power, though. Think about it. Russia, everybody bends over backwards, right? Oh, we don't want to piss off Putin. Oh my God, right? What if they use nukes? Nobody talks about whether Israel's going to use nukes. Think about it. Nobody talks about it. I mean, maybe because Russia is just so evil, I don't know, that people just assume Putin will use nukes. But nobody, I mean, literally nobody is assuming, I mean, no reasonable person out there is saying, oh yeah, there's a real great risk of Israel using their nukes. It's not there. I just think now Israel does downplay their nukes. Gray Shinobi is right. Russia's always bragging about how they're going to nuke everybody, right? But it's very interesting. But it's still, yeah, Israel doesn't admit it, but we all know they've got 100 nukes. So why is it that we don't treat Israel with that same deference? Oh, we better not piss off the... And by the way, oh boy, you better not... you can bomb Russia in Ukraine, but you better not invade Russian territory. Uh-oh, because they've got nukes, right? But Israel's got nukes, and Hezbollah may just invade from Lebanon. Syria, Syria could invade too. I mean, I just find it interesting. Oh, I said Syria and my Siri went on. That was now that was new. I said Syria and the other thing on my phone went off. Thinking I was calling Siri. I've never had that happen before. That was the funniest thing. Wow. Anyway, I just find it interesting. I find it interesting. I don't think anyone will use nukes, but I think it's interesting that we always talk about it with Russia, and we do give them much deference. We never give Israel deference for having nukes. Now I wouldn't be surprised if Israel had 100 nukes 30 years ago. That was the conventional wisdom. So I would not be surprised if they've got a lot more now, but who knows? Who knows? Anyway, what else we got, guys? 7:22 already. Wow. Steve Jobs was Syrian. I always forget that. Was he Syrian? I think so. Yeah, I always forget that. I knew a lot of Syrians in college. They were very nice people. Interesting. It probably is a Spock reference, Andre. I probably did pick it up. Big Star Trek fan, especially when I was a kid. Well, I always forget about that. But not if it was the 60s, though. Right? I mean, wasn't it Jonathan Pollard or somebody who well, wait a minute. That comment might have been correct. I think that comment might not have been totally wrong. Guys, whoever just muted that person on TikTok, they did. Jonathan Pollard or whatever, I believe, stole nuclear secrets, didn't he? Just be careful. That person might not have been a troll, okay? Whoever took that person out, you might want to undo it. Unless they were saying something else that was bad on TikTok, okay? But yeah, Jonathan Pollard did something. No, the caps aren't necessary, but you warned people first about caps, obviously. Anyway, Google it, but I think they might have been right. Cliff, let me see. What do you got for a question here? 1 second here. Cliff, we've got to figure out how you can include the question in the gift, because it always confuses me trying to find it here. Cliff. All right, I'm going to scroll again. Didn't see it the first time. Cliff, I'm not seeing this. Can you just copy your question and do it again? Cliff, there's literally nothing here. Yeah, do it again if you would. Or you have a question coming up, you mean. Maybe that's what you mean. Yeah, maybe you mean you have a question coming up. That's fine. Yeah, I don't see it back before that. Well, North Korea we should be worried about because they're crazy. I mean, that's the problem with North Korea. Putin's an ass, but he's not crazy. North Korea is nuts. So you should always be a little worried about North Korea. Having said that, they're always saying crazy stuff. How you get your hair so cool? Pfft. I mean, my hair is my hair. It just does what it wants every day. It's something new. It just, be born Greek or Jewish. I think the Jews have pretty good hair too, a lot of them. And B, wake up every day and it does something new. So, like it is. Today it's being kind of dry and spiky. I don't know. It drives me a little crazy, but what do you do? What else we got, guys? I don't see a Cliff question either. I'm guessing he's typing it out. Yeah. U.S. pressing Turkey to let Sweden join NATO. One hopes. Actually, that's a really good point. We haven't heard anything about that. I'm going to guess this Middle East thing isn't helping right now. But the Turkish parliament should be back. And we were waiting for the Turkish parliament to come back to to have them vote about Sweden joining NATO. Remember that they were, Stooge, not sure what you're going at here. Unless you're Jewish. You shouldn't be writing stuff like that unless you are Jewish. Let me know, because you're on the border, just so you know. You're really on the borderline on YouTube. YouTube's messing up? I don't know. Hang on a second. See after Gunther. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm asking. Is this a new person? I don't know who this is. Is that a new person or what is it? I don't know. Cliff's never able to figure out the super chat. Oh, interesting. Mike says a big Palestinian journalist says it's getting closer to a ground invasion of Gaza, maybe tonight. I mean, we've been waiting for it. We just don't know when that's happening. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, we don't know. I mean, Israel, the only thing is Bloomberg had a story today that the Americans were asking the Israelis to hold off on invading Gaza because we're still negotiating for the hostages. So who knows? North Korea is not going to nuke us. No, I mean they're crazy, but thank you, JRD. But because if North Korea nukes us, we're going to. If North Korea were to nuke us, we would literally nuke the place into the Stone Age so that they wouldn't be able to nuke us again. That's a guarantee. I mean, literally, they would be destroyed if they were to use a nuke. Even if they use a nuke on one of our allies, they're in real trouble. If they were to use a nuke on an American territory, I think we would quite literally nuke them off the map because there's too much of a risk they would do it again. So you just wouldn't have a choice, you know? The only thing is that I don't recall what the range is for North Korea's nukes. I know they were testing weapons that were going pretty far across the US, but I don't recall, like, are they perfected? Does anybody remember? Like what the actual, like how far could a North Korean nuke go today, we believe? Well, South Korea would be a problem too, yeah. No, I know. That's what I mean. Well, the problem is you worry about radiation fallout and everything else, but I think at the very least we would have to nuke their leadership wherever they are. If they nuked us, I don't see what the alternative is. Are we giving money for U.S. hostages? I hope not. But who knows? Do I predict nuclear war anytime soon? No. I do think we're entering another Cold War era, yes. And I think Russia made that clear. I think Russia's entering another Soviet era, clearly. Because they think it's the only way, look, they're having that, actually I just came up with something. I was saying ED, empire dysfunction. They're having empire dysfunction and they're trying to get it back. And they can't get it back. So they're kind of lashing out, trying to do everything they can to get their empire back. But they're very insecure about it. And I think they're trying to be the Soviet Union. They're not as dangerous as the Soviet Union, but they still can cause a lot of problems, as we've seen. They're dangerous to Ukraine, clearly. They're still dangerous to Eastern Europe. They're dangerous in the Middle East, so, yeah, if your empire lasts longer than 12 decades, contact your doctor, exactly. Yeah, that would be a good, that would be a good ad. I may have to even do I'm writing this one down so I don't forget. Empire, I made that one up myself. Empire dysfunction, yeah, that is funny. Burp. Anyway, my battery's, I'm just warning you guys, my battery, I didn't recharge the battery on my iPad last night for TikTok, so it's down to 10%. Be aware. Dr. Patroller, the problem is, Dr. Patroller says, do you believe Israel oppressing Palestinians in the first place was wrong? I don't think Israel oppressed Palestinians in the first place. The Palestinians, well, first of all, the Israelis, the Jews have been oppressed for 3,000 years. So, I mean, you're never gonna win an argument of who got oppressed first, really, because the Jews are gonna win that one. But also, and they will, if you talk about the Palestinians being oppressed, then you also have to talk about the Israelis being oppressed. And both of them have. The Palestinians have been oppressed, and the Israelis have been murdered for 80 years. So, I mean, horrific terrorism, horrific. Do some research, horrific terrorism against the Jews. By the way, even worse, Jews worldwide, the Palestinian terrorists would go after. Jews worldwide, they would blow up and kill. Argentina, horrific. So I remember the synagogue attack in Argentina. Again, attacking Jews in Argentina and blowing up a synagogue. Why? Because you're hateful. So there's enough hate to go around. The Palestinians absolutely are oppressed, and the Jews have absolutely been oppressed. And forget the Holocaust. I'm talking since the Holocaust, the Palestinians have oppressed the Jews as well, and their benefactors. But again, both have done it. Both have done it. This is a conflict that I think you will never have an honest person be able to tell you really who started it. I don't think you're going to get an honest answer. No, an honest person is not going to be able to give you a good answer for who started it, because it's been, thank you, Alex, it's been for 80 years, and now good luck, right? Because again, you'll say, oh, look at Israel taking Gaza, and they're going to go, well, look at you invading us. Well, you get number of wars, 73, 67, 48, right? I mean, it's like, So, and it goes back before that anyway, yeah. So it is mutual antagonism. It is mutual antagonism and frankly, mutual dickiness, I would say as well, to a degree. The Palestinians have been oppressed, and whoever's been fighting for the Palestinians have been terrorists. And you know what? I would say maybe it's both sides. It's FAFO for both sides to some degree. No, I really mean this. I support Israel, but this is why I don't like Netanyahu. I think he is too heavy-handed. I think he's too nasty. But the Palestinians have been too nasty too. So good luck. No, it's not great on either side, but it'll piss people off. But I don't particularly care. Sorry, Annette is asking. I need my glasses for that one, Annette. Thank you, by the way. Why can't aid get to Gaza via the shoreline since we already have a ship off the coast? The shoreline would be Israel. Israel's got a blockade there too, but I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. I mean, Israel controls the shoreline. I don't know. I will say it depends whose ship, because there's always concern about Gaza attacking, about the Hamas attacking, ships, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything about ships at all, actually, other than Israel, patrols the coast. I'm assuming it's Israel won't allow it, but I don't know anything more about that. The Bible and the second coming? Honestly, the second coming, I've always found to be a metaphor, personally. I don't really believe Jesus is going to come down and wipe out all the Jews. I just don't. So, and I also just don't accept that, non-Christians are per se going to hell. That's just BS. You know what I mean? If you're Jewish or Muslim, you can be a good person based on your acts. It doesn't matter whether you've embraced Christ. That's one aspect of Christianity I've always found to be just kind of ridiculous, And it makes sense in the old days. They had to use it as a threat. But today, come on, Hindus are going to hell because they're not Christians, because they don't accept Jesus. Give me a break. I don't want to get into all the Bible stuff, but it's just ridiculous. Yeah, it's not good. The speaker situation is bad. Oh yeah, so the speaker situation, I forgot to mention the speaker, I'm more of an agnostic. The speaker situation is very interesting. So that's just a mess right now. So, and maybe we can end with this because it's 7:30 anyway. So what happened is the House of Representatives, the lower house of Congress, the lower body of Congress, doesn't have a leader. It's been 2 or 3 weeks now. It's run by Republicans. Republicans have the majority in the House. Democrats have the majority in the Senate. When you got the majority, you pick your leader, right? The Republican leader was Kevin McCarthy. I was going to say Kevin Spacey. Kevin McCarthy. He, in the House, they're called Speaker. The Speaker of the House is the top leader, right? He gets overthrown a couple weeks ago by 8 MAGA people who don't like him. Matt Gaetz was the leader, the guy from Florida, big MAGA guy, kind of crazy. Very crazy, actually. And very super MAGA, super Trump supporter. He overthrows McCarthy. So they try to get Stephen Scalise in. Oh, hello. Steve Scalise, who is a very conservative guy. They try to get him in. He can't get the votes. Thank you, user 2149. Then they try to get Jim Jordan in. Jim Jordan is another super MAGA guy. He can't get the votes. It's kind of a mess right now. Jordan, super anti-Ukraine. Scalise, they thought would have been better. Yeah. Scalise, I think, might have even been a little better than McCarthy on Ukraine. McCarthy was still though. But Jordan's really bad. And Jordan just went down in flames today. So, Jordan went down like a Russian tank in Avdiivka. There were a lot of great videos today of Russian tanks getting just destroyed in eastern Ukraine. Absolutely, horrifically destroyed. So it's still a mess. It's an absolute mess. They've got it because the problem is Jordan did step down. They had a vote and they voted him out. They said, no, we don't want you to be our nominee anymore. It's a mess. Thank you, Susanna. And the problem is Republicans only have a 4-vote majority. So if 4 of them defect, they can't have a speaker. And they're so divided, and they've frankly embattled so many of the crazies. Thank you, Elizabeth. And I'm sorry, but the MAGA guys are kind of nuts. And the MAGA guys are basically activists. Matt Gaetz, who's the lead guy who took down McCarthy, said yesterday, he was asked about this whole dragging it out and what if we can't get a speaker? And he said, I retweeted it, but the quote was something to the effect of, that's a good thing. Maybe Washington could use not having its government running for a few months, you know? And it was like, okay. So they want to destroy things. They want to destroy government. I mean, the problem is too, they're the kind of people where they're the extreme of people who think government's evil, government never does anything. They literally want to destroy it. Thank you, for the Black Cat. So, I don't know. Will they try to bring back McCarthy? I mean, it would make sense, but I don't think Gaetz is going to let McCarthy come back. You know? And the other problem is the other Republicans don't want to let, thank you, Hedge, for the flowers, the other Republicans tell the whole story. I mean, I could talk about the fact that Jordan also is a serial enabler of the molestation of young boys, but if that's what you mean, the rest of the story, I could go on. Don't mess with me. Thank you, E. You'll never win. You'll never win. But any case, anyway, yeah, so it's a mess. It's a mess. It's absolute a mess. So, but I don't know, but it's bad because, yeah, we can't provide any of this aid to Israel or Ukraine, the additional monies. We can't pass a budget to keep the government open in a month unless the Republicans have a speaker, a government, and it's a mess. So, and at some point, people are going to start getting kind of pissed off about this, you know? So, well, that's the other problem. Yeah, true. Kelly made a good point. You know, they should have, because she said they should have never let McCarthy go 15 rounds to become speaker. They had 15 votes. 15 votes they had to make McCarthy speaker, and he had to make all sorts of concessions to do it. So by making the concessions, he set it up so that they could take him down. Basically, one of the concessions was they could have a vote, like any member could call for a vote, a no confidence vote, which doesn't exist otherwise, I think, in American politics, really. Any member could call for a no confidence vote, and they'd have to have another vote on McCarthy and just take him down, and they did. They had a no confidence, and they got rid of him. So he had to make that concession, or he couldn't have even been speaker. The only problem is, had he not done that, what do you do, right? Because then they wouldn't have had a speaker anyway. You know? Congress does need a speaker for Biden's budget to pass. Yeah, the House of Representatives can't do anything. All they can do is hold a vote on having a speaker, but they can't do anything else. They can't even pass resolutions. They can't do the stupid National Ice Cream Day. They can't do anything. It's that bad. It's really bad. Danielle, good to see you. Last minute. Any chance Democrats might support a Republican speaker to get it over the line? They'd have to get something for it. They'd have to get something. Typically, you just don't. I mean, you know, the Republicans keep trying to say, well, it was 208 Democrats and only 4 Republicans that caused this chaos. I said the media should turn and go, really? Because the Democrats didn't vote for a Republican speaker. They should ask the Republicans to go, how many times have you voted for a Democratic speaker of the House, Mr. Republican? I'm going to guess 0. Not even going to guess. I guarantee you 0. Did CNN do it? Did CNN ask that, Jen? I hope so. Because they're trying to trick people into, well, Democrats didn't vote for it either. Well, Democrats vote. You literally have a vote. I mean, and each party votes for their guy, and the one that passes a certain level wins. Well, the problem is, of course, Democrats vote for the Democrat. Thank you, user 2149. And Republicans, if Republicans vote for the Republican, they win. But too many of the Republicans are pissed, so they didn't vote for him. So it's like the Democrats and the Democrat ends up even having more of it. It's a disaster. It's a disaster, but that's what happens. So when they say, oh, the Democrats didn't vote for him, why would Democrats vote for a Republican to run the Congress? They wouldn't. They vote for and Republicans, the same thing. Republicans don't vote for Democrats to run the Congress. So the only way they would do it is if the Republicans gave them something and said, okay, we'll vote for a Republican speaker if you give us equal representation on committees, or I don't know, something like this, right? You'd have to get something in exchange, but that's the way the system works. But if you do that, you get the hardliners in the party. That go, don't you dare reach a deal with Democrats. So what do you do? Right? What do you do? Annette says, wasn't Jordan voted out for speaker at the 1 p.m. meeting? He was. He was voted out as the speaker nominee because basically they have their private meeting and a majority picks who the nominee is, who they're going to pick at their private meeting of Republicans. So in other words, you just need 51% of Republicans to be the Republican nominee. Then you go to the House floor, and then you need 218 or whatever it is. You need all but 4 of the Republicans on the House floor to be the speaker. The problem is that, well, another problem here is, and this also pisses off the conservatives who aren't MAGA. The House apparently has the Republicans have like this rule they established where privately they get together and they vote on who they want to be speaker. And whoever gets 51% wins. Jordan got 51%, whatever it was. Scalise, the guy before him, also got more than 51%. So Stephen Scalise was the nominee first. His vote goes to the floor, where they now need 218 votes. They've only got 4 to spare. Scalise goes to the floor, and the deal for Republicans is once we pick a nominee, once you get 51% in our private meeting of just Republicans, we all agree that's the nominee, that's the guy we're voting for. The fight ends. Well, with Scalise, they played a game where they weren't going, first of all, they weren't going to even let his vote go to the floor until he got 217 votes or something in their private meeting. I mean, they were playing all sorts of games. Well, they go to the floor and they don't vote for him, basically. So he doesn't get enough votes. They broke the rules. The Republican rules are whoever the nominee is, that's who we're all voting for. Well, the Trump people didn't do it. Then the Trump people, the MAGA people, got their own guy, Jim Jordan. And they thought, well, we've got the rule, so everyone else is going to vote for Jim Jordan. And the conservatives said, you didn't vote for our guy, we're not voting for your guy. So it is, and then last night on Twitter, they were blocking each other. They were all pissing each other off on Twitter, and the Republican members of Congress, of the House, were writing messages to each other on Twitter and getting pissed off and blocking and blocking and blocking. It was crazy. The one female Republican called one of the guys a pussy. He put the cat emoji, which means pussy, which means, I mean, it means a lot of things, but in this case it means, it's a sexual reference, but it also means you're weak. You're weak. You're like a little weak girl or something, but it's also a sexual reference. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. She's a member of Congress, and she called the other member of Congress this. Just crazy. Wensters, what do I think of the $105 billion package Biden requested? I mean, it's fine. I mean, I really don't know. The thing is, I don't know enough of the details of what does Ukraine need exactly, I mean, I worry about whether they're going to pass it, like especially for Ukraine. Israel will get everything Israel wants. Yes. Will Ukraine? Let's see what happens. I don't know. All right, guys. I'm going to skip I'll do the recap. Let me do the recap really quick, and we'll call it a night because it's already 7:40. We've been here an hour and 45 minutes, which I'm happy you're with me. I will do the recap, and then remember tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, we are going to do our coffee talk, which is where we go and hang out on TikTok for the paid monthly subscribers, the SNN subscribers on TikTok. And I do a special broadcast just for you guys and just for the all the other subscribers on Discord. So all the YouTube monthly subscribers, the Discord monthly subscribers, the Twitch monthly subscribers, and the Ko-fi monthly subscribers, all of you should be able to access this on Discord if you set up the connection in your Discord settings to link it to those various social media accounts. So 11 a.m. Eastern time, Vlad should be joining us. So do come and join us. We had a very spirited discussion, but I would say a nice discussion. The mods did a great job getting rid of the crazies. So we've been able to just talk as friends, which is what I prefer. No crazy. Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't mind people disagreeing, but is Discord the best place to donate? Here's the thing. Discord, if you're doing a monthly subscription, it's probably easier to do it on Discord because you don't need to then link it to anything else. The only thing I will tell you is on Discord, set up the monthly subscription on your computer and not your phone. If you do it on your phone, it's like 30% more expensive because Discord's trying to charge you for the fee Apple charges them. right? Because Apple, you do it on a phone, you're using an iPhone. If you use an iPhone at least, Apple takes 30%. So Discord charges 30% more. So instead of $7.99 a month, they're going to charge $10.50 a month or something crazy. So if you do it on Discord, do it on your computer. And then once it's on your computer, the subscription, then you can do it on phone or anything else. But I would do the subscription on your phone. It should be $7.99. Yeah. And you can do Ko-fi too. I mean, any of them work. It's funny. TikTok, I get the least money from TikTok. The problem too is TikTok. TikTok, I get the least money. TikTok's easy though if you're on TikTok, right? But the money's pretty sucky. But it's okay. All right, let me do the quick summary, guys, and then we'll go. So Israel, two American hostages were released. Where do I get the most money? I mean, I get the most money if you just give me a gift on PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, to be honest. That's the most, right? Which you can do via the link in my bio on TikTok and just click the Linktree link, right? I mean, that's the most. If you were doing a subscription, I'd say probably Discord, probably Discord or Ko-fi, probably, I think, probably, yeah. Yeah, for doing a monthly. Marie, thank you, Marie. You as well. Dobra Nich, good evening to you as well. So 2 U.S. hostages were released by Hamas. Biden's speech went over very well last night. He did a speech from the White House about Ukraine and Israel, and it was well received, even by Fox News. Britt Hume on Fox News said it was an excellent speech, basically talking about how dictators around the world, dictators are trying, he literally called them dictators in Iran, but in Russia and I guess dictatorial terrorist group, I guess. Well, they kind of are dictators, though. Thank you, Raghu. But the dictators trying to overrun democracies, and made the link, which was a very good speech. Then I talked about a poll from YouGov and The Economist that showed that American sympathies for Israel are rising as the war goes on, which is interesting because you usually expect that to go down. And that basically, right now, American adults overall, 48% sympathize with Israelis, 23% equally, Israelis and Palestinians, 19% not sure, 10% Palestinians. So 48% to 10%. As I've been saying, America is wildly supportive of Israel, at least compared to the Palestinians, certainly. Egyptian border did not open to aid this morning. It was supposed to. Some senior Israeli officials told U.S. officials to expect a war that could last as long as 10 years. A UK group called Forensic Architecture cast doubt on claims that the hospital in Gaza was blown up by an errant Palestinian terrorist missile, a rocket. But then some other defense experts, they said they think it was an artillery shell from Israel. Other experts are saying Israel has not been using artillery shells in Gaza. They've been using missiles, so it didn't make sense. We still don't know, bottom line. There was a wonderful interview on Saudi TV with the head of Hamas where the Saudi broadcaster, this woman, destroyed him, which actually, the more I think about it, it was also beautiful that it was a woman interviewer doing it too, because I'm going to guess Hamas probably isn't that great. These guys probably aren't that great on women. But it's too long to explain. Google it. It was a wonderful interview. The Ukraine, day 604 of Putin's 3-day invasion. Oh, we're still doing our fundraiser, so please do help out. We're raising money for training Ukrainian troops on drones, and we're trying to buy 2 drones for them, some motors, some controllers. The total bill comes to $1,971. We've already raised $1,198, so we need about another almost $800 more, I think. Yeah, $800 more. And if you can help and donate, 100% of the money is going to Ukraine. I'm not taking a dime. Thank you, Gaia. We're giving it via our friend Vlad, who's been coordinating this kind of stuff for a year and a half with us. You can donate via Vlad's PayPal on, hang on a second. For you guys, that's Vlad's PayPal at the bottom. Go into your PayPal, use Vlad's email. For you guys, you can find Vlad's PayPal address. It's naprokovsky@gmail. You can find it via the link in my profile, the Linktree link. Click it. And the first thing that comes up is the explanation of the fundraiser for the drones and Vlad's PayPal info. You can't click it once you're there. You're just going to have to go into your PayPal and type in Vlad's email. But if you can help, I'd appreciate it. I ain't doing fundraising for Israel or Palestine. Nope, sorry. But we are doing it for Ukraine. So if you can help out, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to keep hectoring you guys until we get the $1,971 we need. So thank you for that. Avdiivka. So Ukraine has repelled over 20 Russian attacks in the last 24 hours in eastern Ukraine, north of Donetsk. This was a town the Russians were making all-out push to take, and apparently they're losing a lot of men and a lot of weapons. A video came out today showing a lot of Russian tanks getting blown up. It's bad, which is good for Ukraine. Biden administration asked Congress on Friday to approve a massive $106 billion aid package for Ukraine and Israel, but also for the Palestinians as well, and for the U.S. border. Germany transferred another 3 self-propelled Gepard anti-aircraft guns to Ukraine. Romania will install an anti-drone system on its border to protect it from Russian drones. Thank you, Velika. Ukrainian resistance in occupied Melitopol detonated a car full of looters who were stealing things from Ukrainian homes. Do I have Facebook or an email as a contact? You can contact me on Facebook if you want. I mean, I'm trying to think. If you're on Discord, that's probably the easiest. Are you on Discord with us or no? I'm on Facebook too. Just find me on Facebook. Although I truly hate Facebook because things get lost on there too. It's kind of a pain. I give my email out occasionally on here. I don't like saying it publicly with all the crazies out there. So, you know, I don't know, Terry. I'm not sure what to tell you. I mean, you could use Instagram, but I don't check it that much. You can try Facebook. I can try to look. I just don't look at messages on Facebook because I get so much other stuff there. Yeah, YouTube ought to have a way of doing it. There ought to be an easy. I'm trying to think. I don't have an easy way. I'm trying to think. I don't have an easy way to suggest that you do this, to be honest. Oh, a topic of debate? Well, you can just tell me right now if you want. I mean, I don't mind. Let me see here real quick. The International Olympic Committee dismissed Russia's claims of ethnic discrimination, which was great. And finally, the New York Times says Ukraine's economy is rebounding. It should grow, according to the World Bank, 3.5% this year, which is very good. But you've got to keep in mind the economy was destroyed by the Russians, so it's going to take many years for it to come back. But at least it's growing and not stagnating or going down, so that's good news. All right. Yeah, Terry, I'm not sure what else to tell you. Either post it right now really quick or maybe tomorrow when we're live again. Not tomorrow, but I mean Monday when we're back, if you want to do that. That always works too. All right? Or Google me online. You might find something if you Google me as well. Frederick, thank you as well there. I don't think he's on Discord, though. Discord's the easiest way, frankly. I like Discord because I don't have to give out emails and stuff. Discord's really the easiest way. But I don't know if you're not a member of Discord, but it's discord.aravosis.com. It's free. If you can figure it out, you can easily message me there. All right, guys. Frederick, thanks for the hearts. All right, guys. I am going to head out. Thank you. Oh, does YouTube? Maybe YouTube has a contact. Look at my bio on YouTube. Look at About on YouTube and see. Maybe there's something there. I don't remember. Is there something that says contact the author or something on YouTube? Take a look. Okay, take a look. All right, guys. Have a good night. I will see those of you tomorrow who are monthly subscribers. Like I said, 11 a.m. TikTok, 11 a.m. YouTube, and Discord, excuse me. And I'll set the event up right now. And Vlad asked about it, so I think Vlad's joining us too, which will be lovely. So, all right, guys. I'll see some of you tomorrow. Otherwise, Monday. And I'll keep doing updates on TikTok anyway. I'm going to do some tonight and then over the weekend too. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. Good weekend. Thank you, mods. Thank you for the gifts as well, as always. Good night, good night, good night.